Imagine walking down a foggy street in London. The year is 1888. It is dark, it is cold, and everyone is looking over their shoulder. They are afraid of a shadow, a monster who vanishes into thin air. For over 130 years, we have asked the same question. Who was Jack the Ripper? We have blamed everyone. Some say it was a royal prince. Others say it was a doctor, or a painter, or even a traveler from America. But in 2025, the headlines exploded again. You might have seen them scrolling through your phone. Jack the Ripper finally identified. DNA solves the mystery. Is it true? Did we actually catch the ghost of Whitechapel? Today, we are diving deep into the massive news from late 2024 and 2025. We are talking about a bloody shawl, a Polish barber named Aaron Kosminski, and a new legal battle that wants to officially close this case forever. But we will also look at why some scientists are shouting, "Stop," and why this mystery might be trickier than a simple DNA swab. Grab your detective hat. Let's walk the streets of Whitechapel and see if the case is finally closed. First, let's talk about the man at the center of this storm. His name is Aaron Kosminski. If you read the old police files from 1888, Kosminski isn't a new name. He was right there on the original list of suspects. He was a Polish-Jewish immigrant who worked as a barber in Whitechapel. But his life was tragic and chaotic. He suffered from severe mental illness. He heard voices. He was paranoid. He was known to mutter to himself and eat food from the gutter because he was afraid of being poisoned. Police at the time watched him closely. One top investigator believed Kosminski was the Ripper because he had a great hatred of women and strong homicidal tendencies. But here is the problem. Back in 1888, they had no hard proof. They couldn't just arrest a man for acting strange. Eventually, Kosminski was put into a mental asylum in 1891, and he died there years later. For decades, he was just a name in a file. One of many maybes. Until a man named Russell Edwards bought a dirty old shawl at an auction. This is where the story gets wild. Russell Edwards is a businessman and a die-hard Ripper researcher. In 2007, he bought a silk shawl at an auction. The seller claimed this shawl was found right next to the body of Catherine Eddowes, the Ripper's fourth victim. The story goes that a police officer at the crime scene saw the nice silk shawl, thought it was too fancy to belong to the victim, and, believe it or not, took it home as a gift for his wife. His wife, obviously horrified that he brought her a blood-stained gift from a murder scene, never wore it. She put it in a box. And supposedly, it stayed in that family for generations, never washed until Edwards bought it. Edwards teamed up with scientists to test the stains on the fabric. They found two things: traces that looked like blood and traces that looked like semen. In late 2024 and moving into 2025, Edwards released updated claims. He says they have used advanced DNA testing to match the stains. They compared the blood DNA to a descendant of the victim, Catherine Eddowes. It was a match. Then, they compared the semen DNA to a descendant of Aaron Kosminski's sister. Edwards says it was a 100% match. This year, in 2025, Edwards and the descendants of the victim are pushing for a formal legal inquest. They want the British government to officially declare that Aaron Kosminski was Jack the Ripper. They want a verdict. They want the history books rewritten. Now, if you are listening to this and thinking, "Wow, case closed," hold on. We need to act like real detectives here. We need to look at the evidence with a magnifying glass. While the headlines say, "Solved," the scientific community is much more cautious. In fact, many experts are very skeptical. Here's why. First, let's talk about the type of DNA. The tests didn't use nuclear DNA. That is, the unique fingerprint DNA we see in CSI shows that identifies one specific person. The shawl is too old and damaged for that. Instead, they used mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondrial DNA is passed down from your mother. It isn't unique to you. You share it with your mother, your grandmother, your siblings, and thousands of other people who share that same maternal line. So, while a match is interesting, it doesn't point to only Aaron Kosminski. It could be him, or his brother, or a distant cousin, or someone else entirely who shares that genetic branch. The second problem is contamination. Think about that shawl. For over 100 years, it wasn't in a sterile evidence bag. It was in a box. It was touched by the policeman, his wife, their descendants, and people at the auction house. Critics argue that the touch DNA found on the shawl could have come from anyone who handled it. Did a descendant of Kosminski ever touch it? Did someone breathe on it during a Ripper convention? It sounds picky, but in forensic science, this is a huge deal. If the chain of custody is broken, the evidence is shaky. Just to show you that the debate isn't over, let's look at the competition. While Eddowes is betting everything on Kosminski in 2025, other researchers have different ideas. Recently, an author named Sarah Baxhorton released a massive investigation pointing to a different man, Hyam Hyams. Her theory doesn't rely on a magic shawl. She looked at medical records. She found that Hyam Hyams was an epileptic and an alcoholic who was in and out of asylums. But the key is his physical description. Eyewitnesses in 1888 described the Ripper as having a stiff arm and a peculiar walk. Horton found medical files showing that Hyams had a broken left arm that never healed right and a knee injury that made him drag his leg. He was violent, he lived in the area, and his physical decline matches the timing of the murders perfectly. So, on one side, we have DNA on a shawl that might be contaminated. On the other side, we have a suspect who perfectly matches the physical description given by people who actually saw the killer. So, where does this leave us? The 2025 claims are exciting. The idea that we can use modern technology to reach back 137 years and snatch the mask off a monster is incredible. It gives us a sense of justice. We want to know that evil has a name. We want to know that the women who died, Mary and Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly, didn't die for nothing. But the truth is, we might never have 100% certainty. The foggy streets of 1888 are too far away. Evidence has been lost, destroyed, or mishandled. If the 2025 inquest goes through and Kosminski is named, it will be a historic moment. But for many historians, the question mark will always remain. Was it the barber with the hatred for women? Was it the cigar maker with the broken arm? Or was it someone we have never even suspected? Here is my verdict. The case for Aaron Kosminski is stronger now than it has ever been. The DNA match, even if it is just mitochondrial DNA, is a big piece of the puzzle. But solved? That is a strong word. History is rarely black and white. It is usually gray, just like the London fog. What do you think? Is the DNA proof enough for you? Or do you think the shawl is just a dirty old cloth with too many people's fingerprints on it? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want us to do a deep dive into the other suspects like H. Holmes or Walter Sickert, hit that like button so I know you're interested. Don't forget to subscribe for more mysteries, more history, and more truth. Stay curious, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.